The BMW R1250 RT is a fantastic touring motorcycle, and it has all of the features that you'd expect from a big touring bike like this, including an integrated mounting point for the official BMW sat-nav. Now, I did think about buying a BMW Navigator 6, but they're not exactly cheap, and they don't exactly get great reviews either. And I also have a perfectly good Garmin Zumo XT, and that's where today's product comes in. This is from a company in Italy called 3DM, and it's basically a 3D printed bracket that adapts the BMW mounting point for my Garmin. So let's go and put it together, and then we'll take the bike out on the road and see how it performs. So what we get in the bag from 3DM is this basic adapter and a captive wire. They actually do a couple of different designs for this particular mount. This is the non-lockable one because that's what you need for the RT, but if you've got the lockable mount, they do a version for that as well. The idea is that you just reuse your existing Garmin attachment plate. It just goes on here like this. We've got this captive wire that's going to sit in the middle to pass through power, and we're supplied with 4 bolts. Quite nicely on the back of the 3DM adapter, we've got these captive nuts as well, so it should be nice and easy to install. So hopefully you can see this okay. The captive power cable on the 3DM adapter is going to sit in the top of the Garmin mount here, and you might be able to see there's a little screw on the back which we've got to remove. And then it gets screwed in from the back of the Garmin mount. So let's just do that. I've missed a crucial point here, and that is that you're required to take this rubber cover off of your existing cable that came with your Garmin. So this is the cable you would have used if you hardwired your Garmin into your bike. Anyway, we've got the rubber cover. It's very neat, but it's also a bit fiddly, and you'll be a bit stuffed if you lost this tiny screw. And we've got this nice rubber cover that we can use to keep the rain out, I guess, when it's not actually connected. So the next step is to use the supplied screws. And we mount the Zumo mount onto the adapter. Okay, so you will need a 2.5mm hex driver, and they don't include any tools in the packaging. The little screw, I've used the screwdriver that came out of the Garmin box, and that works fine. I guess most bikers will have some tools kicking around. And that's what it looks like when it's finished. Quite a neat job actually. Let's go and try it on the bike. Okay, so first steps, we press the button to the side here to remove the cover. There we go. It should be quite simple just to pop this one in. Look at that. Fantastic. And then yeah, so generally that looks really smart. I like the way it actually sits almost flush. Obviously it's standing more proud than the Navigator would, but it's not a bad look. Not so sure about this, the rubber cover that we were told to put on. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to use that actually, because you can't remove the sat-nav from the mounting bracket now. You've got to just remove the whole thing. So I don't think I'd ever take it off the mount. So this is just in the way now, which is a bit annoying, but perhaps we'll just clip it up like that. Good, so I guess now what we need to do is fire on the bike and let's see if it actually works. And there we go. Working sat-nav. That's excellent. I think now what we need to do is take it out on the road and try it out.
So here we are out and about, and as you can see the sat-nav is working perfectly, and the angle of view actually is just spot on. I can very clearly see what's on the screen with the sat-nav, and it doesn't require much head movement at all to check the sat-nav, which is really nice. Previously when I've mounted sat-navs to bikes, you know, it's been off here. On my V85 I had it over to the side, which means you're kind of looking and maybe not concentrating as much as you should be on the road. With this, it's just a case of dropping your eyes Now, there are a couple of things that I've noticed that are potential issues. So first of all, you'll notice that I've got my camera mount here with my camera looking back at me. And of course, some folks like to have a mobile phone mounted, that kind of thing. So obviously, if you've got anything mounted here, that's going to restrict your ability to access the sat-nav perhaps. Slow down a bit here. This driver's going very slowly for some reason. I missed a speed limit. 40, okay. My bad. And of course you are going to have to lean forward to touch your sat-nav because it doesn't integrate with the Wonder Wheel here. And that is a fairly key thing in your decision-making process, whether you go down the route of a Zumo with a mount like this, or whether you buy the official BMW Navigator. If you don't have a sat-nav already, you might just go down the Navigator route. I already had the Zumo, of course, so this option does make a lot of sense. But yeah, you don't get the Wonder Wheel integration. Now, as I recall it from my previous BMW, I had an R1200 RS, and I did quite a few trips on that, and I had the BMW Navigator 5, I think it was, for that. You could use this Wonder Wheel with the sat-nav, and actually on that bike, it didn't do anything else. The Wonder Wheel was purely for the sat-nav integration, so if you didn't have a sat-nav, then the thing didn't do anything. This bike, however, is different because the Wonder Wheel controls the menus for setting your options. So for example, if I don't know how well you'll be able to see this on camera, but if I press the menu button, the first thing that comes up is my suspension choice, and I then use the Wonder Wheel to set that, so I can navigate the menus and choose stuff without ever taking my hands off the handlebars, I guess. There's also other options in here as well, so I've got all my trip information and stuff like that. I've got the settings for the heated grips, which are nuclear strong. I'm just going to notch that down one. And the setting for the rider's seat heating as well. The passenger has a separate switch on this bike. All of those options then are accessed via these buttons and the Wonder Wheel. So I don't know how a Navigator 6 would actually work with the Wonder Wheel. Does it switch off? Perhaps someone can tell me if you've got one. Yeah, let me know in the comments, how does it work? Does it override this situation, or does the Wonder Wheel just work with the sat-nav until you press the menu button and then it controls the menu? I suspect that's how it works. Either way, what I found when I was using my sat-nav for longer trips is the only real function that I wanted to use on the Wonder Wheel in connection with the sat-nav was the zoom in and out, and I did use that a lot. So I've got a trip coming up at the end of April into May, and we'll see how we get on with that, and I'll see how I manage. Of course, for zooming in and out, what it means is I've got to take my hand off the handlebar and I've got to touch the screen, and it is a little bit of a reach. As you can see, it's far in front of me, so I've got to lean forwards and do it as well. So let's just have a go. Let's just try zooming in whilst I'm watching where I'm going. Yeah, okay, I can do it. I can live with that, I think. The other thing that the Wonder Wheel did on the Navigator 5 that I had was it gives you access into more information. So it doesn't just work as a sat-nav. It used to have things like tyre pressures. In fact, you could completely customize it and have all the information that you wanted up on the sat-nav screen. And I assume the Navigator 6 does the same thing, so it gives you additional information if you don't need the sat-nav on. I'm quite happy with this though. So the couple of things though that I've noticed that are potential problems. But the first thing is, of course, that the RT doesn't have a locking mount at all. So anyone can take your sat-nav. So if you forget to take it off your bike, it's not like on other BMW models where the sat-nav is actually locked in place and it makes it difficult for someone to steal it. You've got to remember to take it off. And of course, as soon as you've taken it off, you've exposed all of those pins, which means you've got to remember to take the blanking plate with you as well, which of course anybody could nick that too. That would be annoying, wouldn't it? As you can see, I've got my SW Motec tank bag here, which I've had on every bike since that R1200 RS I mentioned. I love these things. So that's where I keep mine anyway. I take it off, put it in here, and then it goes into top box. You can't really take the top box off this bike particularly easily, but maybe I'll save that for another video. Overall, very good. What you will notice though, let me just show you something. So I don't know how well this will come out on camera, but I'm in 6th gear. Let me just slow down a bit, and then I'm just going to open up the throttle. And that means we're going to get loads of vibrations. Watch the sat-nav. I'm guessing you can see that shaking around all over the place. You know, when you're on a tight twisty road, perhaps doing hairpins, that kind of thing, you're always going to have some vibrations on a bike like this with a big V-twin? Sorry, opposed twin, isn't it? It's an opposed twin, boxer engine. You're always going to get those vibrations. No matter how you ride or which gear you select, there'll always be moments where it's going to be shaking around like that. And I just wonder what stresses that's putting on that plastic mount, and whether or not it's going to stand up to the test. It'll be pretty disappointing if I'm negotiating some hairpins in the mountains in France or Spain and my sat-nav falls off. I'm sure it'll make for good YouTube content, but I won't be particularly happy about it. I suspect it's probably super tough and it'll probably be fine, but who knows. And that's possibly the only negative that I've found with it so far. I'm really pleased with the solution. I think it looks neat. I was worried that the sat-nav would stick out further than the dashboard here, but it doesn't. It looks great. It looks like it's meant to be there. I'm very happy with it. I think they've done a great job designing that mount. It's a really good product. I recommend it. And I found actually the experience of ordering it was pretty good. I did try to buy it from a reseller in the UK. That was absolutely hopeless. They rejected my card because apparently the address was wrong, even though the address wasn't wrong. They've got something wrong with their settings, but nobody did anything to try and help me out with the order or get the product to me. So I gave up in the end and I ordered it direct from the manufacturer in Italy. I think it took 2 or 3 days to arrive. Very reasonable postage costs. I spent my own money on it. No one's paid me for this endorsement, but I am going to endorse the product so far anyway. Please join me for some of that trip. I'm intending to film every day, so please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. YouTube might decide to let you know when I've launched some new content, but you can't guarantee it. This is the thing I'm finding with YouTube. They really do stitch up creators these days, unless you're making short content with vertical video for 3p per 1,000 views. There we go. The life of a creator. See you again soon. Next time, CG Rides.